Hey guys, I know they always say that the sequel is never as good as the original, and for the most part I do agree. There are some exceptions to that rule, but generally it is the truth. This sequel is one of the rare sequels, though, that I think is necessary. I think it needs to be put out there. There needs to be a part two. And the reason there needs to be a part two is because part one it's not a standalone story. Okay, I made a video a while back. I can link it here if I figure out how to do it. I can put it in the description or whatever, teaching you guys how to sit down. What recently came to my attention and what kind of alarmed me and forced me into making this video is that I never taught you guys how to stand up. So there's probably a good contingency of people out there that have been sitting in the same exact spot I left them in October of 2019. I apologize, that's my fault. Don't blame yourselves, but we're going to fix that right now. I'm going to teach you guys how to stand up. So guys, strap in, lock in. If you want to get some paper, take some notes, feel free to do so. But I guarantee by the end of this video, you will be able to stand up. I actually have some really good news for you guys right off the bat. And that is that you've already done the hardest part. If you've watched part one of this series, you've done the hardest part because you have to be sitting down in order to stand up. Okay, and believe me, I mean, this comes from experience. This is someone who stands and sits all the time. You can't stand up unless you're sitting down. That's the first law of standing. So again, kudos to all of you who have gotten this far. And if you haven't gotten this far, I urge you to watch the first part of this series, which I will link here or because I can't figure it out, probably neither of those places. But once you're sitting down, you've done more than half the work. So really step one is to congratulate yourselves. Well done. I would actually argue that step two is the most important step. And that is to make sure that standing is completely necessary. The last thing you want to do is stand up when you don't need to stand up, because standing up takes energy, and staying standing takes energy. To conserve energy, you're going to want to be seated as much as possible. So I urge you all, step two, and this is for everybody, to make sure you're aware of your surroundings, know what your responsibilities are, and only begin this process if you're absolutely certain that you have to stand up and that it's completely necessary. Step three is the basic setup. And really what we're focusing on here is making sure that our shoulders are square to what we're sitting on. So I want you to imagine that you have a line drawn between your two shoulders, right across your chest. And make sure that that line is parallel to the edge of what you're sitting on. In this case, this is standing 101, it's a chair. So we're making sure that our chest is completely in line with the chair, we're square, we're facing directly forward. It's very important. I know you'll see people sometimes standing up from like a sideways position, or standing up maybe from a stool or a ledge by flipping their legs over the edge. We're not there yet. But right now we're sitting on a chair, we're on the ground, and our chest is totally square and completely parallel to the edge of the seat. I salute those of you who've made it this far, but this is where it takes up a couple of notches. This is where it gets really tricky. Step four is really three distinct motions rolled into one, okay? The first one is, once you're parallel, once you're square, I want to practice rocking your chest forward. I want you to feel your center of gravity moving towards the edge and over the front edge of the chair. Okay, so get a good feel for that. Now the second part of this is that my feet are planted firmly in the ground. I want to make sure that my feet are planted firmly right in front of me, perpendicular to the edge of the seat. Now remember, this is the same edge of the seat. My chest is square to it. My chest is parallel, but my feet are perpendicular and they're planted firmly in the ground. So I'm planting my feet and moving my chest forward, rocking forward. It's okay if the back legs of the chair come up, right? Your weight's going to keep the chair down for now. So just practice this motion. And the final part of step four, is to take these hands and clasp the top of your knees. Make sure your arms are nice and bent, right? You don't want your arms straight. We'll talk about that later. That's a common pitfall, but you got your hands on your knees and you're walking forward. And I'd say, for those of you who are first-time standers, I just practice doing this. I really would. Get a good feel for it, right? You have to make sure you have this perfected before you try anything else. So watching me, chest moving forward, weights moving forward, my feet are planted, my feet are firmly on the ground, and I got my hands on my knees ready to propel myself upward. Step 5 is what's known as the action step amongst standers. And it's really when you think of standing, it's what you think of, right? It's the step you think of. So you're practicing step 4, right? We're practicing that lean. We got our chest forward. We feel our hands on our knees. We feel those feet firmly planted in the ground. And all we're doing in step 5 is we're extending our arms and we're extending our legs. When? Well, when we're at our forwardmost point in our lean. Right? So it takes some timing. Right? But we're gonna lean forward, and when we're as far forward as we are, we're about to start our lean back. We're gonna push our arms, and we're gonna push our legs. We're gonna extend both of them simultaneously. Our arms are gonna push us forward, and our legs are gonna push us forward and up, and we're gonna be standing. All right? So watch very carefully. Practicing on step 4, practicing that step 4, and step 5, extension. I'll show you again. Step 4, we're leaning forward, hands on the knees, and we're extending. It's that easy. And once you're standing up, you know you can just rely on what you learned in the first video and sit right back down. It's that easy. It's that easy. It really is. It takes practice, but it's that easy. But before you start standing and really get after practicing all steps together, I would just like to point out a couple of common pitfalls that I see amongst new standers. The first would be that people haven't really calibrated that lean in step 4. And what you'll see is sometimes you'll see people overdoing it, leaning way too far forward, and then when they try to extend in step 5, they're launching themselves directly forward, and they're hurting themselves, they're falling. The other side of that is you see people not really getting enough lean, extended, they're still leaning back and they're falling over the back of the chair. Very ugly. So again, it's stressing the importance of this. I've said it multiple times. Just really practice this. Get a good feel for it, what feels comfortable. You know, at what point of leaning do you feel like, okay, I can stand straight up from here. I'm not going to fall backwards. I'm not going to fly forward. So again, really practice this. This is step 4 is the key. Don't even think about step 5 until you really feel comfortable about step 4. Another one that I see is that people are good about they have their hands on their knees like they're supposed to, but their arms are locked out. Their arms are locked out like this. And you can't push if your arms are locked. So you're leaning forward and you try to push off, you can't do it. You're losing your balance, you're falling backward, you're hurting yourself, or more commonly, you're getting tendonitis in your elbow, you're totally locking out your elbow and dislocating it. Very ugly scene. The final common mistake I always see is poor footwork. You'll see people out there with their feet way too far apart, way too close together, with one foot pointing this direction, another one pointing that way. And any one of those mistakes, you try to stand up, you push up, you got no balance, right? You got your legs up here, you got no foundation, you're wobbly, you're going all over the place. Right, so it's very important to make sure that your feet are square. And what I like to do is, it depends in each individual, but I like to keep them about shoulder width apart, right? Some people feel a little more comfortable with a little further out, a little closer together, but you don't want them all the way together, you don't want them touching, you don't want them way out here, right? You just gotta make sure that you have your feet in a sturdy place, a place where you feel good about your foundation and your ability to stand up. So thank you guys again for watching this video. I had a lot of fun making it, and I look forward to seeing you guys standing up in the future.